Hello everyone. In the series of lectures of e-learning classes for CBPAC students, uh, I am in continuation of the previous lectures. I am going to present a pathological segment of the middle ear now. We have discussed in length uh, the anatomy of the middle ear. Today we are going to discuss about inflammatory disease of the middle ear, which is called as acute otitis media. Acute otitis media, as the word suggests, is acute inflammatory sequence of the middle ear of the middle ear. So let me take a pen now. So this is the topic of today's class. We'll try to sum up the class in two lectures, and this is the initial or the first lecture we are going to have. So acute otitis media, as the word suggests, is acute inflammatory or a short history period of acute inflammatory sequence of the middle ear. Media in sense is middle ear. Likewise, acute otitis externa, acute otitis media, and we have got inflammatory sequence of the internal ear, which is called as labyrinthitis. Labyrinthitis. So it's a acute inflammatory sequence of the mucoperiosteal layer. So let's see if this is a middle ear. This is eustachian tube, and this is tegmen. This is jugular bulb, and this is the middle ear. So we have got three bones, malleus incus stapes here. So these malleus incus stapes and all other structures of the middle ear are covered by a mucous membrane, and the inflammatory sequence of this mucous membrane is called as acute otitis media. So these three malleus incus stapes miniature bones are not like a hanging bone in the middle ear. They are engulfed or entrapped by or enveloped by a thick mucosal layer, and the inflammatory sequence of this middle ear along with the adductus and this whole antrum segment is called as acute otitis media. So acute otitis media is not restricted to this part only, the middle ear only. Obviously, when there is a circumferential edematous sequence, then there will be blockage of this adductus also, and subsequently you will have inflammatory sequence of the mastoid system as well. So this acute otitis media is a middle ear as well as the mastoid. You can say that in the case of rhinosinusitis, some sort of sinusitis is always present with the rhinitis, and the vice versa is also true. So as in the case of the middle ear infection, some degree of mastoiditis will be always present in the case of middle ear infection, and the vice versa is also true. So this is typically a disorder of pediatric population. The cause is this. The most common portal or the route from which this infection or the inflammatory sequence is proceeded is this eustachian tube. This is eustachian tube, and this is the most common portal through which our inflammatory sequence is ascended into the middle ear and thence into the mastoid, and this whole cavity behave as a inflamed segment of the middle ear. So OME is otitis media with effusion. Effusion, that is totally a different topic we are going to discuss in some other class. Otitis media with effusion is a sterile inflammation, in the sense is only there is a exudation or transudation of the plasma in the middle ear, which subsequently is involved with the appearance of the bacterial or viral segment, and then called as acute otitis media. So this is a sterile presentation of the middle ear, and acute otitis media, it may be bacterial or viral. Bacterial or viral maybe is an extension of acute is extension of OME or otitis media with effusion. Effusion in the sense is there is effusion of the plasma or proteinaceous fluid from the blood vessels of the mucosa. This mucosa also has got blood vessels, and there is a leakage of the plasma, circulating plasma in the middle ear, which is subsequently subsequently infected by the bacterial, the viral segment, and it is called as AOM or acute otitis media. This is routes of infection. Routes is by far the most common route is almost every case you can say is eustachian tube, and the inflammatory sequence ascends from the nasopharynx or the soft palate or the pharyngeal wall, and the virus or the bacterial segment ascends through the eustachian tube, and the eustachian tube collapses in the senses when there is a circumferential is when all wall of the eustachian tube, particularly the cartilaginous part, get involved in the inflammatory sequences, and it prolapses, it swollens, and it completely blocks this eustachian tube. And when there is a completely blockage of this eustachian tube, then the ventilation of this middle ear is a ventilated cavity. Ventilation in the sense is the aeration of this middle ear and the mastoid segment only dependent upon the eustachian tube. And there is eustachyitis or salpingitis is inflammatory sequence of the eustachian tube. Then it behaves as a closed cavity. There is no ventilation because of the blockage of this eustachian tube, and the middle ear and the mastoid segment behaves as a single unit, and there is a transudation or exudation of the plasma. Next is the inflammation may go inwards or from lateral to medial through a middle ear perforation, especially water entry. So if the patient is already having a pre-existing tympanic membrane perforation, then the inflammation or inflammatory sequence can go from lateral to medial or from canal to the middle ear, which is not very common. Eustachian tube is very common. This route is by far the most common. And the third one is bloodborne. When there is circulatory bacteremia or a bacteremia, the bacteria settles down into the middle ear, and then gives a condition of acute otitis media, which is rarely route of infection. So these are the predisposing factors. Predisposing factors in the sense is these are the factors which are responsible for a eustachyitis or blockage of the eustachian tube. These are recurrent cold, which is called as a flu. Flu is nothing but an acute viral URTI, you can say, acute viral upper respiratory involvement is flu. Sometimes lower in the sense is lower than the larynx. We have got this is carina, and this is right and left primary bronchus. Above they will be the larynx. So below this laryngeal segment and the commencement of this cricoid cartilage, beneath this or below this or distal to this will be the lower respiratory segment, and this is upper respiratory. Upper respiratory it includes the rhinitis, rhinosinusitis, and tonsillopharyngitis. So upper respiratory, when the word upper respiratory is used, then you tend to implicate that this is more related to nasal cavity, the nasopharynx, and the tonsillopharyngeal cavity, the tonsillopharyngeal structures. Next is inflammatory against of adenoid and tonsils. These are exanthematous fever. Exanthematous fever is the fever which are along with some eruptions of the skin is called as exanthematous fever. Apart from that, these are nasal allergies. Nasal allergies again causes some kind of eustachyitis, as there is there is a swelling of the eustachian tube mucosa because of the inflammatory or allergic mediators like histamine and IgE, and there is complete blockage of the eustachium. Next is tumor of the nasopharynx. Since eustachian tube in the previous class, you can easily appreciate that eustachian tube opens one side into the anterior wall of the middle ear and the other side opens into the nasopharynx. So if you have got a space occupying pathology in the nasopharynx that can comprehensively block one side, or if the size of tumor is too large, then it can even block both of the eustachian tube and thence causing a middle ear reaction. Next is a cleft palate, which is a congenital pathology. Cleft palate is a summit or a hiatus or a gap in the hard palate and or a soft palate. The eustachian tube is closely related to acute otitis media because it is the single most important portal through which the infection or inflammatory sequence is different from infection. The word infection is used primarily for a bacterial appearance, whereas this inflammatory sequence can be viral or autoimmune reaction or a bacterial one. So this is a clinical difference between inflammation and a infection. So in a children, eustachian tube is more in angle. This is a more of a in an adult. This is adult and this is an infant. So this is more in line, more horizontal, and in case of a adult, excuse me, it's more vertical. And because in the case of pediatric population, it is more horizontal, then the infection can easily ascend also. And the eustachian tube is also not mature. It works, the working of the opening of the eustachian tube is not so regularized as in case of adults. The swallowing is also a bit different from the adults in case of pediatric population, and hence the eustachian tube behaves differently in case of a pediatric population than from a adult population. But there's no denial that in both the infant and the adult population, eustachian tube is the most common portal of middle ear inflammatory sequence. Isthmus is the most compressed part or the narrowed part of the eustachian tube, which is more liable to be blocked at the time of inflammatory sequence. Only present in eustachian cartilage, it has got, we already discussed that segment. These are some bacterial segments. So 70% of the upper respiratory, be it is a tonsillopharyngitis or rhinitis, is viral in nature. 70% of the cases. Different studies suggest the data. But in case of bacterial infection, these are the three most common bacteria: Streptococcus pneumoniae, Haemophilus influenzae, and Moraxella catarrhale. These are most common, and this Streptococcus pneumoniae is by far the most common bacteria which is responsible for a bacterial form of acute otitis media. Fungal is very rare happening, and these are super infections. Super infections is a new concept because of a super antigen. Super antigen is a bacteria which encased itself or which protects itself by forming a proteinaceous thick matrix layer around a bacterial colony, and on which the bacteria and bactericidal drugs, or which are also called antibiotics, are immune to, or they will not respond to the routine antibiotic we prescribe, and this is called as a super infection, which do not respond to our routine bacterial prescriptions. So these the pathophysiology is grouped as in stages. So this is and the disease progress from tubal occlusion. This is tubal occlusion. Tubal in the sense is eustachian tube. The eustachian tube is blocked, and the middle ear then becomes a single soled, which was an air filled cavity. Ultimately the air gets absorbed in the blood vessels itself, when there is a negative pressure in the middle ear because of the blockage of the eustachian tube, this negative pressure sucks out. First it absorbs the limited oxygen available, or air available rather, and then it sucks out, this negative pressure sucks out plasma from the blood vessels of the blood of the mucosa, of the middle ear mucosa. This is called a stage of presuppuration. Presuppuration is when the fluid is still sterile. Fluid, what fluid? Fluid from the plasma, which is a transudated plasma which has come out from a negative pressure in the middle ear as a result of blockage of the eustachian tube, and this sucks out plasma, but this plasma still remains sterile. You can't say that the bacterial infection, it appears in the middle ear. The bacteria are always present in the middle ear, even in a sterile condition, but suddenly they become pathological. They become pathological, and they found it is an opportunity, and then this sterile plasma goes into form a pus-filled cavity in the middle ear. The middle ear now behaved as a single unit along with mastoid and other ear cells, behaves as a single pus-filled cavity, like a pyogenic abscess, you can say. And this leads to this formation of the middle ear fluid, and subsequently collection of pus leads to necrosis of the tympanic membrane, necrosis of the central part of the tympanic membrane. So let's see, it is a tympanic membrane. If there is collection of middle ear fluid on the medial side, the tympanic membrane also gives away because of the necrotic part, and there will be a central perforation through which this perforation will give away the pathway for the extrusion, or the whole of the pus from the middle ear will be drained into the canal. So subsequently you can have a resolution after a perforation, or the patient may complicate into 2-3% of the cases into two types of complications, which are called as intracranial complication and extracranial complications. Intracranial complications are subdural, extradural abscess, sigmoid sinus, thrombophlebitis, etc. Whereas the intratemporal complications are mastoiditis, facial nerve palsy, labyrinthitis, and so on. So these are two. This is tubal occlusion. The whole story I have already explained in this slide, how it progresses from a tubal occlusion to a stage of perforation. So this perforation may continue throughout life or for a long time. Then it is called as CSOM, chronic suppurative otitis media. This acute otitis media, when I have got a permanent perforation in the tympanic membrane and a recurrent discharge, then it is called as CSOM, or a COM rather. Nowadays it called as COM, chronic otitis media. So our acute otitis media is an inflammatory sequence of the middle ear, and when it is followed by a permanent epithelialized margined and a epithelialized permanent perforation, then it is called as chronic suppurative otitis media. Chronic suppurative otitis media, or CSOM. This is a very common word which is used in ENT practice. So it starts with a mucosa, eustachian tube is blocked, and there is intratympanic pressure increases. Tympanic membrane retracts. Is a very important word. When this is anatomical position of the eustachian tube. When it goes towards the canal, it is called as bulging, and opposite to the bulging will be when it prolapses into the middle ear onto the handle malleus or incus or stapes, according to the migration, or not migration, according to the prolapse grade. It is the grading is there, which is called as Saday's classification for degree of prolapsing or retraction. This is an endoscopic picture or an otoscopic picture, and you can see it's seems to be a normal tympanic membrane. This is lateral process of the malleus. This is handle of the malleus. This is eustachian tube, anatomical anterior, posterior. This is long process of the incus. This is inquidostapedial joint area. This will be the eustachian tube area. This is tensor tympani area, and above will be the this roof of the middle ear. This is called as tegmen tympani. These are some white patches or called as meningosclerotic patches. This seems to be a normal. And then the bacterial invasion is there. There is a hyperemia or congestion is there, inflammatory exudates, congested tympanic membrane, and this is a look of the tympanic membrane or endoscopic examination on this stage. When the middle ear is acutely angry look, and there is a dilation of the blood vessel, there are appearance of various inflammatory mediators like leukotrienes, cytokines, thromboxane, PAF, or histamine, like inflammatory mediators which give rise to rubor, dollar, calor, and punctulatia. And this is cartwheeling. Cartwheeling is like a cartwheel. You can see the prominent blood vessels are there. And there is loss of cone of light, which is available earlier into the anteroinferior segment. This is cone of light will disappear because the tympanic membrane is now in a state of bulging. Bulging to the extent is some part of the tympanic membrane, especially the central part, will give away as a process of necrosis is going on, and this will give away, and the pus again increases, tympanic membrane is compressed, tense, bulges, and it necroses. There is excruciating pain, fever is of grade 2. Grade 2 fever is there, and in children you can easily see vomiting and convulsions. So we will continue the same uh, chapter into the we'll take this class into the next session. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you very much.